So, you've seen me do my first FTP test and my first 10km climb ever. Both were a significant step forward for me, but neither of them will truly make me progress as a cyclist. That's what training is for. My training plan at the start was simple. I wanted to ride 3 times per week, and next to that, you might have seen in my FTP test video and my Tenerife video that my cadence was pretty damn shit, roughly in the 60s. I wanted to work on that in these training weeks. Now, across the last 2 months, I have trained, but probably not as much as I could have. In January, I only rode 2 to 3 times per week. There was zero structure in this training. I just jumped on Zwift every now and then, selected a random route and tried to break personal records on any climb I could find. For example, early January, I tried breaking my 10-minute power record, which stood at 206 watts dating back from July 2022. "25% in, starting to feel it. Halfway, it's getting really tough. So, my 10-minute power record was 206. After this ride, it stood at 225, so a solid step forward. Most of these rides show up in red in the Breakaway app because these are considered intensity rides. I'm obviously no expert, but everybody keeps telling me that I need to focus on endurance rides in my training, also known as Zone 2 rides. Now, what does that mean? As you might remember, during my 20-minute FTP test, my FTP result was 190 watts. Zone 2 is a power zone that can be calculated based on that FTP, a range of watts that you could use in training. I created a 1.5 hour Zone 2 workout on Zwift and jumped right in. We are starting off with a 5-minute free ride to get the legs turning. Those 5 minutes are about to come to an end. 3, 2, 1, and the Zone 2 segment starts. I'm not certain if this is a correct assumption, but the way I judge whether I'm actually riding in Zone 2, when I'm talking, if I have to pause every 10-ish words to take a breath, then I'm in the right zone. If that's the wrong assumption, tell me. Obviously, Zone 2 rides are not the most entertaining, so I tend to combine the ride with something fun, like a podcast, an audiobook, watching a TV show, or a video on YouTube. Right now I'm listening to Dune, an audiobook. Having done these rides for the last 2 weeks, I've gotten quite comfortable with the RPM, the cadence between 80 and 90. I tend to even sometimes go higher, which is not a bad thing, but it certainly is a big improvement from my first RAM test, where I was going towards 70, 65 at certain points. Here we go, 16 minutes done, 1 hour in, 30 to go. The nice thing about the Zwift workout is that every time I go under 80 cadence, it keeps telling me to spin faster. So that way I keep track of my cadence. Into the final minute of Zone 2. Wow, this is my first time doing 40 kilometers on Zwift. I didn't even know that. That's crazy. And I've been Zwifting for a very long time, so I expect to have done that already. There's the wide gate. If we go through it, 5 minutes of cooldown left. But hey, 3, 2, 1, Zone 2 done. Time to cool down. Oh. There we go. That ride was my first dive into structured training. During the weeks that followed, especially in February, roughly 70% of my training were endurance ride or Zone 2 rides. If we circle back to my initial RAM test, you might remember that my cadence at the start was roughly 80, but throughout the test it got lower and lower and lower, from 70 to 60 to 55 and even 50 at the end. Now, because of that lower cadence, my trainer increased its trainer resistance, which once again caused me to have a lower cadence, which once again increased the trainer resistance. That's the concept of a spiral of death. But as you might have noticed in this video and my workout clips, my cadence has improved to 75 to 85 average, so I felt like it's time for a brand new RAM test with a proper cadence throughout to see my progress from that first RAM test. Let's take a look. 3, 2, 1, let's go. I'll talk a lot less than my last ramp test because I'll focus on the ride this time around. My cadence is vital. 1 minute down, let's keep going. God! God! Fuck. What am I doing with my life? Damn, that last minute was absolute torture, but the result is great. I have increased my RAM test result from 198 watts to 227 watts. That is a 15% increase over the last few months, but where does that increase come from? Firstly, I don't think I became 15% better since my first RAM test. I believe that doing the test correctly this time made me able to go further in the tests. But most importantly, due to my intensity rides, I feel like I'm better at riding in the red. I don't give up as easily when I'm suffering. That is a progression I'm most proud of. Now in the weeks after this RAM test, I've broken records nearly every single intensity ride. So that means that the Zone 2 training is really paying off. I'm still only level 1 in every single skill in the Breakaway app, but just like a video game character, I will improve. It's only a matter of time, and most importantly, training. Anyway, we've arrived in March, and this is where I want to make the next step. I want to improve the volume of training. I want to ride my bike more. Most of my training will be based on a structured training plan given to me by the Breakaway app. I'll be using their build mode, which tells me when to do an intensity, an endurance, or a recovery ride. And for a Zwifter like me, the Breakaway app even proposes specific Zwift workouts for each type of ride, which is great. Anyway, today's video was all about training. The next one will be all about racing. I'll be doing numerous Zwift races, hoping that I could take away at least one victory. If you want to be notified when that video goes live, definitely subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.